There's something about driving through empty streets that brings certain thoughts to the surface. Not the urgent ones, not the lists, just thoughts. The kind that used to come more often, back when there was more quiet. I remember when waiting felt different. Waiting for a phone call meant actually waiting. Being somewhere specific, listening for the ring. Now we carry all the voices with us, all the time, and somehow we're still waiting. The light changes. Someone taught me to drive once. I don't think about that much anymore. There were rules to learn, mirrors to check, a whole language of signaling and yielding that felt impossible at first. Now my hands know where to go without asking. That's what time does, I think. It turns the difficult into automatic. And we forget there was ever a version of us that didn't know how. I wonder sometimes about the things I used to find hard that I don't even notice now. The conversations that felt so important, the decisions that kept me up, turning them over and over. Most of them resolved themselves, or didn't need resolving, or I just moved on and forgot I was supposed to be worried. There's a house I pass sometimes with a swing set in the yard. It's been there for years, slowly weathering. I don't know the people who live there, but I know that swing set used to move more than it does now. That's not sad exactly. It's just what happens. Things get used, then they get used less, then they just stand there. And someone mows around them because they're not quite ready to take them down. I used to think I'd remember everything important. The big moments, sure, but also the regular ones. The way a particular afternoon felt. What someone said that made me laugh. I was so certain those things would stay. But memory isn't a file cabinet. It's more like a photograph left in the sun. Some parts fade, some parts shift color, and after a while, you're not sure if you're remembering the thing itself or just the last time you remembered it. The radio is off. I forget when I turned it off. There was a time when I needed sound constantly. Music, voices, anything to fill the space. Now the quiet feels like something I've been looking for. Not silence exactly. There's the engine, the tires on asphalt, wind against the windows. But no words. No one asking anything of me. I think about how much faster everything became. Not just technology, that's obvious, but the pace of being a person, the speed at which we're expected to respond, to decide, to move on to the next thing. There used to be gaps, time between knowing and doing, between hearing something and having an opinion about it. Those gaps have closed, and I wonder what we used to do with them. Maybe nothing. Maybe we just stood in line at the bank and looked at the ceiling tiles, waited for film to be developed, let ideas settle before we shared them. I'm not saying it was better, just different, just slower in ways that felt normal then. There's a building I drive past that used to be something else. I can't remember what anymore. A store maybe, or a restaurant. Something I went to enough times that I should remember. But it's been the new thing longer than it was the old thing now. And eventually the old thing just stops being part of the landscape. It becomes a half-thought. Did that used to be? And then you let it go. I've started noticing how many sentences I don't finish, not out loud, in my head. I'll start thinking something, and then the thought just trails off. Like I got the gist and don't need the rest. Maybe that's age. Or maybe I've just thought some of these thoughts enough times that I know where they end. There's a version of me that still exists somewhere in old photographs, wearing clothes I'd forgotten I owned, standing in places I haven't thought about in years, with people I've lost touch with. That person had no idea they'd become me. No idea which parts would last and which would fall away. No idea how ordinary it would feel to be this age, because it does feel ordinary. From the inside, I mean. People talk about getting older like it's this dramatic transformation, but mostly it's just Tuesday again. Except my back hurts in a way it didn't before. And I care less about things I used to care about deeply, and more about things I never noticed, like quiet streets, like having nowhere I need to be for a little while. I used to fill every moment, schedules, plans, people, noise, movement. I thought that's what life was supposed to be, full. Now I think maybe it's supposed to have room in it, space between the things. Time to just drive and think and not arrive anywhere in particular. The sky is doing that thing it does, changing so gradually you don't notice until it's different. That's how most change happens, I think. Not in moments, in collections of moments you weren't paying attention to, until one day you realize you don't recognize the song on the radio. Or you have to think hard to remember what you used to do on weekends. Or your body does something it never did before, and you understand that this is just how it is now. I think about the people I've been, the one who thought they had time for everything, the one who thought they'd figured it out, the one who started realizing they hadn't. They're all still in here somewhere, layered like paint, some colors showing through. There's a stoplight ahead. I know it'll turn yellow just before I get there. It always does. And I'll have to decide whether to speed up or slow down. These small decisions we make 100 times a day. Most of them don't matter. Some of them matter more than we know at the time. And we won't know which ones were which until later. Maybe not even then. I remember thinking I'd have answers by now about what matters, about how to live, about what I'm supposed to be doing with all this time. But I have more questions than I did before. Quieter questions, the kind that don't demand answers, like, where does a day go after it's over? Or, what happened to all those hours I thought I was saving? Or, why do some memories stay vivid while others disappear completely? No one's asking me these things. I'm just asking them, the way you do when you're alone with your thoughts and there's no pressure to make sense. The road curves, trees on both sides, older than any of us. They were here before I learned to drive. They'll be here after. That's not comforting or uncomfortable. It's just perspective, a reminder that our urgency is ours alone. The world keeps its own pace. I used to think about legacy, what I'd leave behind, what people would remember. Now I think maybe it's enough to have been here, to have noticed things, to have been kind when I could, to have let other people be who they were. Not because I'm giving up, just because the scale feels different now. Smaller and bigger at the same time. There's someone walking their dog on the sidewalk. They don't look up. I don't know them. But for a second, we're in the same moment, the same quiet street, the same ordinary afternoon. Then they're behind me, and that moment is gone, and neither of us will remember it. Most of life is like that, I think. Moments that happen and then don't happen anymore. No record, no meaning assigned, just the thing itself, and then the next thing. I'm not sure when I started being okay with that. Maybe I'm still learning to be. The engine hums, the road goes on, and for now that's enough. Just this, just driving, just thinking, just letting time pass the way it's going to, anyway. There will be other thoughts later, other things that need doing. But right now there's just this, the quiet, the road, the slow realization that some things can't be rushed, and maybe that's okay. Maybe that's always been okay, and I keep driving.